All right, we're joined in the media center by Greg Biffle, driver of the number 16 Clean Harbors Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Greg, if you would, talk about today's race, what some of your expectations are headed into it here at Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we've been searching for a little bit of speed since we got here, but I remember last year here we qualified in a similar spot and drove up to fourth, and then we had a left rear tire issue, so then we got grass on the grill and burned the engine up. So we're hoping to not do that today and work our way towards the front of this pack. And our final practice, we were 14th in the final practice, 16th in the first practice on Saturday, and so we found some speed in our car. We're certainly not happy with that yet, but maybe a few more changes and what the guys looked at and ran through the sim back at the shop hopefully will give us some additional speed for today.
Fair enough. With that, we'll open it up to questions. Holly, go ahead.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Greg, I know this isn't a direct correlation, but the Xfinity side of the organization is faring very well, and their cars are running well. I mean, is there anything good that can be drawn from that, and just as an organization, make you feel like it's coming, good days?
Yeah, I that certainly is a boost for our organization that the Xfinity cars are running well, and unfortunately, they're like black and white. They don't have anything to do with the Cup side. The cars are completely different, and the ride height rules and all those things. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, that's really, since the ride height rule change from 13 to 14 has really affected us on the Cup level. If you look at that change, which we were excited about and thought, that get our cars down on the track and whatnot, that's the way the nationwide cars still are. They still have that minimum ride height, and really we've kind of struggled when that ride height rule came in. So we've sort of struggled a little bit with that, and so we're still working through figuring that out. But it's a positive that our nationwide cars are running good, and there are some things that we can take from that. Tire pressures, trends, what the track's doing, and things like that, because they are running up front and they are running fast.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back here and then to Mike Embry.
Greg, Brian Belansky, RPM Motorsports Radio Network. You're the elder statesman at Roush now. I've been with the organization for a long time. Can you remember a time when you guys have struggled like you are struggling now? And the fact that you came out of that, does that give you a good feeling to try to get this thing pointing in the right direction? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's I could give you so many instances where this has been, where this sport has been up and down for us. And you can sit back and look at any organization and say the exact same thing. So to start off with, when I first came into the Cup Series, we were in, I feel like, kind of in this position. We had 5 cars kind of struggling, missed a couple races, and really came out of that in 2004, winning a couple races, 2005 winning it more than anyone in the series. And these guys that are winning every week, I remember lapping them every week, and it's just the reality of it. That's the way it was then. Go back and look at the stats, and the roles are reversed today. It's just the way this sport is. And so to answer your question, then the next one was kind of 7 and 8, 9. We were sort of at a struggle point. I went my first season ever without winning a race. I think Carl did. I think Matt did. So we all went through that, and then 10, 11, 12, we're back winning races. Carl finished tied with Tony in the points. So to answer your question exactly, kind of here. That's the way this is, And you look at Childress. Their cars are really fast right now. That they historically have done the same thing. So is Hendricks. Everybody's been there.
Let's go to Embry over here and then to Wolfgang.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Greg, what's your guesstimation on what Penske is doing that you guys are not? Is it steering geometry? Is it something that aero or Or I guess if you knew exactly what it was, you'd fix
Yeah,
it.
I'll pay you a lot of money if you tell me. If you can go find it out for me. You know, it really, and a lot of people point to Penske as it being a manufacturer deal. And it truly isn't, you know, isn't manufacturer related in my opinion. You know, because we look at when Hendricks wasn't as dominant, look at when Childress wasn't as dominant as they are today, right? And look at Haas when they weren't as dominant as they are today. So it's not necessarily, you know, Ford or Chevy, because when one of those Chevy teams weren't dominant, another one kind of was lurking around like Penske is, right? So I wouldn't say it's manufacturer related, but to answer your question, what are they doing different than us? It's no different than what is Ganassi doing different than we are. You know, it's about aerodynamic. These cars are real similar aerodynamic wise, suspension and chassis wise, they could be identical. You know, you could take one of those cars, cut the body off and put a Ford body on it and have the same suspension and shocks and springs that they have today. So it's, you know, they've figured out, you know, whatever they've figured out that we're trying to figure out, they've figured it out like the other guys have. And, you know, we feel like we're gaining on it. Certainly Las Vegas was a high point for us. Last year we finished 3 laps down and you know, had no speed. This year we go there, you know, ran top 10, finished, you know, decent, had a good run, and something to build on. And we were excited about that. And then came here and, you know, we were kind of scratching our heads a little bit on what we missed off the truck. We've gotten better now, but you know, it's just a matter of these new cars. We're still figuring out the trend.
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany Rennsport Press Agency. A follow-up question to Mike. You as a driver, what kind of areas you will point onto the Ford and say that should be improved? Is it engine, aero package? Is it a combination of both?
Yeah, it's the sport has changed so much. You know, I remember the day where the driver, Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, myself, Matt, we would say, I want to, you know, this car needs a 2 3/4 front sway bar. Add 50 pounds of rear spring to it. You know, do this, do that, do that. Today, these cars are so complicated, and you know they're so different, and the aerodynamics and the splitter and no ride height rules and all those things react so different in the car that you know there's so many more you know factors, and so it's hard for me. You know, one thing I know it is not is the engine. You know, yeah, could it be improved to give us a little more speed or make a little more power? Sure, anything could. But Penske uses the same engine we use. So it's kind of like we can check that off, right? And check that. So we know it's not that. And then we start looking down the line. So is it suspension or aero? Well, it may be a combination of the two that we need to improve, or it may be one or the other. And we just keep looking for what creates speed in the car and just keep working on in that direction.
Let's go right here and then to Lee.
Okay, Presto, Cars in Competition. Greg, Harvick said yesterday after the race that there are some new bumps and ripples in the track. You guys love this rough surface. With the track bars and the downforce now, what kind of racing are the fans going to see today?
You know, yeah, I mean, I think so. Every racetrack, it doesn't matter where it's at, you know, the ground kind of shifts over the years, and just like the street, you know, ends up with a new little dip or something in it. So like every racetrack, this continues to change a little bit. They did grind some of the backstretch of, I think it was like that last year, but, you know, like I heard a couple drivers comment, it's on the straightaway. So it's not, you know, doesn't affect the car as much when you get down into the corner, you know, because that's where the car really needs to grip the racetrack at. So, but, you know, you can try and move different lines and try and get around. That's what we love about this track. You see guys running the fence. Some guys run in the middle. Some guys run in the bottom. That's what makes good racing. And this racetrack provides us an opportunity all the way from the bottom to the top. And it does have some bumps that you got to, you know, negotiate as well. I think it's going to be a good race.
Lee?
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Are you encouraged at all by the new car that Roush Fenway Racing is working on for Texas?
Absolutely. It's a collaborative effort, through our organization. We've been working on that car since the end of last season and through the winter. And we've already had one test with it at Charlotte, and I know they weren't there weren't fireworks going off after the Charlotte test, but still this car is our next version of what it needs to be, or where we feel like we need to go. And so I'm excited to get to Texas and get driving this car, and so we can start working on it. Certainly the first time you have it out of the shop and on the racetrack, you may not have everything right on it. So with 3 or 5 of us, or however many we're going to have at Texas, over the next couple intermediate tracks, hopefully we can dial that thing in.
And you've mentioned the splitter before in some of your comments. Is there something specific going on with the splitter? I mean, they had to take it. They worked with it on Harvick's car last week at Phoenix. It got held up in inspection. Is there something going on where you guys kind of need to look at what's happening with the front nose downforce?
Yeah, there's these cars are so sensitive. Every single little piece of paper. Like I said, I remember moving the fender in and out an inch with the braces. You could loosen them with a wrench and move the fender, and it was driver to driver. Matt may have his right front fender different than my left front, or it was something we looked at. It was a tuning tool on the car, and it's funny now we're talking about pieces of paper width of getting the splitter close to the ground and all that, and we know the speed is in keeping that splitter right at the racetrack all the way around, and that's what everyone in the garage is trying to achieve is that attitude. And some guys have figured out how to achieve that attitude just perfect, and then some cars are not doing that, rolling up, kind of bouncing a little bit, and that's where that speed's coming from. So the splitter is very, very important. These cars are very aero sensitive, and once you get that attitude right, they have a ton of grip, and they stick to the racetrack very well. But when the thing moves around a little bit, that's when it'll start sliding or come, let go of the racetrack, so to speak.
TJ.
Greg, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. With this chase format, win one race in the first 26 and you're in, do you have a wider margin of error where if you struggle earlier in the season, you have more time to fix it and just win one and be ready for the final 10?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I love the points format. I love the chase format. I love how it is because, you can win on a restrictor plate track like Denny Hamlin did last year at Talladega and puts him in, his only win. And, he came from, pretty deep in the points. And so did Allmendinger, and so did the 43, Almirola. So those guys came from way deep in the points. We're not even close to making the chase and got an opportunity to get in. So I really like the, win and you're in format. I really do. I think it makes it more exciting. It makes it more dramatic for me. I made it in on points last year, and every guy that won bumped me down a position. But we were 11th in points going into that. In standard points we were 11th, but with all the win guys in front of us, it put us 15th. So there's 2 ways to get in, and I like that.
Let's go back here, and then we'll wrap it up with Jeff Gluck.
Last question, Greg. You guys have now 2 of the guys who used to be really fast in the Xfinity series versus Carl and Matt with a lot of experience in Cup to get through this little hump. Are you guys losing time because you don't have the help from the experienced feedback, or are you getting more help because of the guys who know these cars, which are a lot more like the Xfinity cars?
That's kind of a difficult question because it seems like the speed in these cars are built at the shop, and the driver, I wouldn't say is less of an influence on what the car actually needs, more than the driver sometimes can tell you that the front end geometry is not right, or the toe setting is not right. I mean, it's so hard to put it in the driver's hands. But on the other flip side of that, you need the driver to say, you know what, I feel the car rolling in the corner, and it feels like we got to keep the left front down, and I feel it dipping, back on the right rear. We need to add some right rear spring or prop that corner up, or, so the driver can have some influence to steer it in the direction, and that's what we've been doing at the 16 team. Is, we've been, I wouldn't say leading the way, but we're, on that edge of figuring out what we need and making our cars better. But it's not like the old days where and the thing is, all three of us are saying the same thing. You know what I mean? We sit in a debrief meeting. Ricky, myself, Eric Amarola, Trevor, we're all saying the exact same thing. So it's not like we have a difference of opinion, through the five of us. And so we know what we need. We just got to figure out how to get our mousetrap to do what we need.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I got in here late, so I apologize. Somebody asked you about a comment from the other day where you said that the organization was dying a slow death, or I don't know if you meant the organization, but what exactly, where did that come from, and what did you mean by that?
Well, you didn't miss anything because nobody's asked me about that yet. So, it's difficult as a competitor to show up at a place you've won twice at and come off the truck, 32nd in speed. This is difficult. And, I guess that, I didn't mean we're dying a slow death. It's like you want to unload off the truck and be 10th, or you want to unload off the truck and be in the top 10 or top 15. And, it seems like sometimes you take Las Vegas, for instance. I like to use Las Vegas because last year we finished 3 laps down there and didn't have any speed, and the car was undrivable. We go back to Las Vegas and we're fairly competitive, ran up in the, top 10 for part of the race, ended up with a decent finish. And we were really excited about that. And we come here, guns blazing, ready to go, unload off the truck, and, we just missed it. And I was really frustrated about that because I was running 4th here last year, and I knew with that car, we're not running 4th right now. Granted, we got it much better yesterday. We were 16th and 14th in the final practice on speed. So we got it better, but, you feel crushed when you've worked so hard and everybody's put so much effort into it, and the guys at the shop and the aero department and engineering and our new, new management, new engineering. We come here and finish or come off the truck with that kind of speed. That really crushed us, and I think that's what I meant. That was a blow to us that we ended up in that position off of the truck. Now we obviously got back to where we were at Las Vegas, which is certainly positive for us, and we're excited about the race today. They ran some stuff through the sim, and I think we're going to be better than we were. But it still, that's a blow when we have all the confidence and that happens to us.
All right, with that, we thank you, Greg,
Yep.
for joining us on a rare race morning. We wish you the best of luck today in the Auto Club 400.
Thank you.